Evening, everyone. We just have a few minutes before we start. Hope everybody's been having fun visiting the garden centers. I know I got all my flowers done and in the ground, and actually even a few herbs. So the house looks good. The lawn's been cut. We're on a roll. And I guess this is, the long weekend is the weekend that everybody makes it to the garden centers. And so they should be pretty busy the next couple of days. So we're just down to 2 more minutes before we get started. And we'll show you a couple of new techniques or tricks this evening. And hopefully inspire you to try something a little bit new. So just checking here. Everything's all set, ready to go. Okay, coming up shortly on 7 o'clock here, and then we'll get started. Just making sure I have everything in its place so it's easy to grab. I was making my shopping list as I was going through everything today. So Christiane will be getting a phone call from me tomorrow. Okay, so it's 7 o'clock and I'd like to get started on time. So we're just going to delve right in. And Diane, hi. Let's just see what we got there. How are you this evening? Okay, so we'll move this off to the side. And I wanted to share with you this tag that I created. These are all my notes to make sure that I don't miss anything and sharing with you. So I'm going to show it to you first in 2 sections. Okay, so here is the back of the tag. Here is the front of the tag. And you can see that I've got kind of like a cracked cement kind of look in the background there. I've got a little bit of a font going on. I have the collage papers and I have some foils, and I'm going to show you where I got the foils from. Also, you'll notice that there are some foil words right here, and I'm going to share that with you as well. So when I was creating this, I actually started off with the Miramise Small Art Vintage Chronicles Collage Pages Botanica Volume 1. And I was going through the pages trying to decide, and I'll point out here too, one of my large envelopes from the mail, I just stuck inside the book here to catch all my bits that are left over from, whatever I'm working on, so that they're still easily accessible. But when I pick up the book, at least they're not falling out all over the floor. The other thing I wanted to point out too is that you could actually take this page out and you can just cut up some of these individual words or phrases sort of thing and add those to your project as well. Hi, Jose. So as I was going through the book, look at these. Aren't these gorgeous? Like, they're stunning. But you've also got the back that you could use too. But these flowers are just too gorgeous not to use. And they've got large, they've got medium size images here. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is that in these images, you'll notice here's musical notes. Here's like, I want to say, architectural drafting markings and, you know, like blueprints, that sort of thing. The color and the texture that you get off of these, it just makes it so easy to work with. Like even this image here, you could add some glossy accents to these watermarks and make them kind of pop from your page a little bit more. So here we have, you know, the medium size images, and then back here there are the smaller images. And it was one of these images that I used for my postage stamp card. So with that in mind, this image stands out to me. And just so that you can see, here's a really large image of it. And for the next tag, I actually have the medium size prepped. Hi, Jose. So this was the small image. So what did I use here? Well, I used a number of different things. And I gotta say, I thought, you know what, it's time to push the boundaries a little bit and just see what we can come up with. So what I did was I ordered up some heat-resistant acetate. And I stamped, you can see the crackle on the back there and whatnot. But initially I did have some of my own from a while back. When I tried working with it, it did not work well. So I ordered up some new stock from Scrap on Mass just the other day. It arrived. I worked with it. Oh my gosh, it worked fabulously. So when I took this image here, the blue is what stood out to me. And I wanted to add that color to the tag. And I thought, what's the best way to do that? And I had seen a video, but I thought, let's take what I saw in the video a little bit further. So what I saw in the video was using Lindy's magical shimmers. And what I did was try to match this blue. So the best blue to go with this tag was from the French Gardens. And what I used was the Hydrangea Haze. Okay. So what I took then was clear embossing powder. And I'm just going to rejig this a bit, refill it up. And what I did was I just had these little extra containers, put in some clear embossing powder. And actually, I'm going to be playing with green as well. And then I just took the Lindy's Now the trick is to get the color. And that took some experimentation. See, and you're just going to swirl it around in there. Now on the paper, it works a little bit differently. But what I did, and there's a learning process as with like everything. Oh, hi Denise, Gillian, Jose's. Okay. There's a learning process. So what I did here was I had my Versamark re-inker. And I'm just going to put the lid back on there. And we're just going to... This was the learning process because initially I thought I would just use a Versamark pen. But I felt I wasn't getting enough of the Versamark. So I just put a little blob on the side of my table there, my glass mat, and just take a little bit and I put it along the edge. Now, truth be told, this was my learning process. Initially, when I did this, I wasn't quite so sparingly with my Versamark, and there got to be quite a bit. So then your Versamark is on there, and that should be pretty good. Now remember, there's pigment in there, okay? And this might get a little bit loud because I'm going to turn on. Now the trick is to, initially when you lay down, it doesn't seem like very much, okay? You have to decide on how much you want showing. But and while it is still warm, put on another layer if you want a little bit deeper color. Okay, and I'll show you another example. Okay, see how the color is coming out a little bit stronger there? Now, initially, the thing to remember is that when you're putting on the Versamark, I put on too much. So when I did my embossing, afterwards when I touched it, I thought, ooh, that still feels kind of greasy. Put on another layer, okay? Because sometimes it's getting the right consistency of the clear embossing powder with your pigment, okay? So you want enough of that clear, but then again, the way I learned was initially when I put it on, I thought, oh my gosh, there's not much color. Just like I just did. While it's still warm, put on another layer. And actually, we're just going to warm this up. And put on another layer. Come on, there we go. And you'll notice that the color keeps getting deeper and deeper until it gets to the color that you want. So the next color I'm going to be working with for my next project is going to be green. So there, see how it's deeper in color there? So that's what I learned when you're adding the pigment to your clear embossing powder, is that you may have to play around with the consistency. But what I found was if you touch it and it feels just a little bit greasy, warm it back up, hit it again with another layer of your mixture. And at the end, when you figure, okay, I've got enough color, but I want to make sure it's really sealed, warm it back up, and then just put on clear. So from there, because I had tried the Distress Uncharted Mariner, and this here, it's kind of clear. To me, it didn't give enough color. That's why I decided to work with the Lindy's, because to me, it was another use for the pigments. So from there, now the other thing is, don't forget to use your static dusters for when you're using the clear embossing powder. Now, when it comes to, let me just tidy this up. When it came to creating the background, I just chose a couple of the Distress oxides that were kind of close in color to the leaves here, because the blue is coming from going back to the color of the flowers, okay? So we'll just put that off to the side there, because I wanted to show you that I have started to prep. So for this one, this is the medium size image, because I showed you the large. I've already created my background, and I really kind of liked how this was fitting in there, but I decided I wanted the color on the clear acetate. Now, this was a little bit trickier. I've started to cut out my image that's going to be, and I just kind of place it where I have an idea the image is going to be, because I want both flowers in the image. So in order to get the embossing on the tag, that took a fair bit of experimentation. So what I discovered after some practicing was just to take a nail file and just run it along the edge of your tag. Now, the tag that I have used here is the All Create number 30, because I like a deckled edge, and I wanted it to be large enough to carry a lot of the floral image. So that is why I chose the decal edge, and I used the large one. Now, not all dies are, not all dyes are really good when it comes to the acetate. When I used this dye, it cut through most of it, but because it is a little bit thicker, and of course it's not paper, it does leave the outline of your tag. So it was just a matter of taking a pair of scissors and trimming around the image by cutting it yourself. Okay, so you may come across that if you decide to use the heat resistant acetate. Now, the heat resistant acetate that I found that it worked really well, and what a difference from the previous product that I was using, was the Lawn Fundamentals clear acetate, but it is heat resistant. Okay, and you get 5 sheets. This stuff works like a dream. And so initially, when I did my tag, and like I said, this is always a learning process. When I created my tag, I did the edge. And I went away, I came back, and I touched it, and I thought, oh, that still feels kind of greasy. And then I touched it again, and it came off, and I thought, well, that's not the result I want. So then I had to kind of play around with it a little bit. And this is what I came up with, because you can notice, see, I'm touching this, and it's not coming off. That was such a moment for me. So take a nail file and just run it along the edge. Okay. Then get your Versamark, your clear Versamark, and you're just going to remember, don't be over generous like Donna was initially. Hi, Janet. And just put it along the edge there. If you think you've got too much, then just spread it out a little bit. Okay, I think you can see me doing that. Okay, now I'm going to be turning my heat gun on and off, but I wanted to show you this. So this is why we've got a little bit of going back and forth. So I've put on my Versamark, and remember, it doesn't dry quickly. But then I take my clear embossing mixed with the pigment, and I'm just going to put it on here, and I should practice what I say. And you're just going to, I did this before, but I've been touching this for quite a bit, but your anti-static powder, okay? And now we're going to put this on. And it's good to have a brush handy Okay, now we're going to heat this up. Now the thing is with the heat-resistant acetate, you have to work quickly, but don't hold it like right over it, like so. You got to keep it moving. Heat the back, and this is where you can see the color starting to work too. It's how much, see the color showing there? But you just heat it and then go to the front. Because you don't want direct heat on there because you don't want it curling. But you just work quickly. Now this is still warm and it's not the color I want it to be deeper. So while it's still warm, I'm putting on another layer. And we go back and we do it again. And I found what worked for me was doing about 3 layers. And you can see when it turns shiny, then you're good. And it's still kind of warm. And you can see how the color is getting deeper. And again, heat from the back. And then go to the front, but not directly over top. Just hit it and move away, hit it, move away. Once it turns shiny, you know you're good. There, you can see. Now, there is a difference between here and here, okay? That's probably because I just added some more of the clear embossing powder to this so that you could see how I did it. But this is still kind of warm. Let's just heat it up a little bit more. And we'll add a little bit more. And then once it cools, you can touch it. You can touch it. I'm just clearing away this extra powder there. And you can decide if it feels kind of greasy or not. If it still feels kind of greasy, then put on another layer or just come back in. There we go. Once it turns shiny, there, you can see how the color is being laid down. So, like I said, I came along and I thought, yeah, that still feels kind of greasy when I was here. And that's why I just took the clear and added it on top to fully seal it. Just while it was warm, I added the clear on top of the color. Because remember, this is pigment. And the pigment may even come off on your hands. Okay, but that is the quick and easiest way to add that color to your clear acetate tags. Okay. Okay, so we did that. And so now I can take this. I'm going to add this on top. Once I've decided how much. Now, the other thing is I want to try to do something a little bit different with this one from this tag as opposed to, now when I stamped on here, I used the Stays On ink, okay, because it's not going to come off. When it comes to the gold foil that I used here, I'm going to show you something. And I don't know if many of you saw these in the store or not, but just before Christmas I spotted these, and let me just tidy this up. I bought up several sheets. Now, these are gold foil transfer sheets, and these work so easily. Jeepers. Oh yeah, I did get some on this over here. So let me just clean this up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so my little touch of blue there. I keep all my scraps. And if you need just a little bit, like I put on my tag here, you literally are just pulling this off. I'll put this over here just so I can show you. Okay. And then we're just going to lift this off. How quick and easy is that? It gives you that little bit of sparkle, that it's not overdone. If you want, you could always save these bits afterwards so that you could have like a positive and negative, and just put a couple of little glue dots behind the gold foil that is left on the sheet here, and then that would give you positive and negative. Again, you're reusing all your bits. Now, when it came to the words, one of the words here is window panes, because to me this is kind of like a window looking through. Quiet cheer. Actually, I was rather loud cheer when I got this all working together, but anyways. And then this one here, what word is that? I think it is, can't remember now. And with my new glasses, it's not exactly easy for me to read. But this one here is wishes. So I chose different words. Now, the sheet that I used, you'll notice here, it's all Christmas. But you can go in and fussy cut your words out. Here's foothills. There's tinsel. There's glow. Moments. You can just, as you can see, I custom cut or fussy cut some of the words out so that I could use on that sheet there. And again, what you're doing is just, you're taking it, you're peeling off the back, and then you're just pressing down. Initially, when I tried this, let me see if I can get a word out here. Come on. Initially, I thought, oh, you have to rub it. And don't rub it. Just press on it, and it works much better. When I rubbed, some of the letters moved a bit, and I just got frustrated. It was easy enough to peel off. So there's the word and. Okay, and you're just going to press it. And like the word, we're just going to, there you go. So you can have all these little hidden words in your projects. These are fabulous, and it's quick. It's easy, it's quick, and it's fun. So that's another really helpful product. I know it's Christmas, but you know, like I said, pick and choose your words, and you can have a secret code if you like. So there's ones with the, words. There was let's see, I think there was a snowflake one in here. I didn't pull it aside. And then there's the diamonds, the marquee. So easy project with those. The other thing I wanted to bring up, so here's just a plain tag that I'll be working on next. And I think that time I'm going to be trying the green. I'm going to try, there's a couple of different other images from the book that I want to try. So I've got my tag already. I really like working with this heat resistant because, yeah, it adds something a little bit different. This is also another, if you don't like the deckled edge, tags, this is a really nice tag set, 666065, and just to show you, it's a good size tag. quite a huge tag. So you can get a lot of the image within that tag. Okay. So there we go there. Now, so like I was saying before, you can see the difference here. This is the Distress Glaze, and I wasn't particularly fond of the color to work with this. That's why I opted to make my own with the Lindy's Magical Shimmer pigments. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you was I was starting to work on my next tag, and just some of the different designs that you could put in the background using your StazOn when you're working with the acetate. You could use stencils, of course, and make it dimensional. There we go. And the other thing that I had started to play with for my next tag, I wanted, for this one, I wasn't sure. I know I have the background here, but I think with this, I want to try putting some paint. So you can see I've been playing around with different paint colors. And with putting the paint down on the acetate, then you can decoupage this right on top. Now, would I do the heat embossed edged with my tinted Lindy's? That's why I thought the green might be kind of fun. So if I do the green along this edge here, then I think I'm going to introduce some blues in the background. So you can see I've been playing around with different blues. And I'm going to say, I did pick up a sheet of the labels for all my paints and the different colors, the top here. So when I go to the store, I take this sheet with me because then I know which ones I'm looking for. And I've already started my next list because to me, I'm kind of liking the Uncharted Mariner to go with this. And because there's several different tones in here, I think the Uncharted Mariner would be good along with the Chipped Sapphire. I think I'm going to combine the two. Now, when it comes to the green, I had used the Dilutions on here. I used the Olive, and this one was Jungle Leaf. And those are the colors in here. You can see from this side the different colors. But I think once I go, I'm liking the peeled paint. And for the darker tone, it's kind of between, I think I might have to add just a little touch of black to the Rustic Wilderness if I wanted to get it exact. And quite often I don't want to get it exact because remember, I'm going to be adding in some of these blues. Also, when I'm doing the tag, as with the image here, you'll notice that one side is lighter because this is the light source coming in, and this side here is darker. So again, it depends on how I want to play off on those things there. But taking those sheets with you, it's a lifesaver because then you know exactly what you want to look for. So here's another tag that I'm going to be playing with. This one here, I started really getting in there and fussy cutting. And I will even get right into here, and I'm going to fussy cut this section out as well. Now I'll clean this up a little bit more. If you wanted to, you could even get your pens, your markers out, or your watercolor pencils, and tint that up inside there. But once it goes on the tag there, you see you're not really noticing it if you've got any like white spots left. But again, I'm going to go in here and just fussy cut it, this portion out. Now, the other thing is, with this image, this is the medium size image, I could go into the book and cut out the large image. Let's just bring that up right here. I could cut out this leaf, some of these, okay, and place them on top of this and kind of use the sculpting tools to kind of give it some lift, but give it dimension and just add a little bit more back in there. You know, this stem, this part in here, to bring the flower out a little bit more. You can add dimension that way by playing around with the other sized images of your selected one. I gotta say, I really did like this blue flower. I'm not usually a blue person, but this one really jumped out at me. The flowers in these books are just amazing. I only wish my own garden would look so good. And then I'm going to trim this up just a little bit more. Now, I know Jose mentioned the chrome plate. I didn't try the chrome plate with this, with the deckled edge die. I just did a quick die cut using my regular mat there, and then I fussy cut it out. And I probably should give it a try with the chrome plate. But to me, it wasn't really fussy. It was because most of it had already popped. There was only just a couple of areas that hadn't been cut all the way through. Now, when you are doing this and you're fussy cutting these guys out, with the first one that I did, I actually tinted some paper and glued the image onto the background, and then just did a little rough tear around it because I wanted to add another texture. But you can see here, now you can decide, I might even bring it up to here so I get more of the top of the flower here and just come in around here. I might even bring this over just a little bit more. But I'm going to add in some extra textures because this is actually, I do it this way so I can see exactly where I want the image to be. Then this will go on top. I think I'm going to add some different kind of texture in there. I'm going to add the paint in there. I might add some more of the blue paint in there once I get that. I'm going to add blue threads. There we go. Black threads. All kinds of different possibilities here. And then save any of your bits because you don't know how you might be able to use them later on. But as you can see here, you can see the little writing that's in the background. And that is why, you know, choose a nice font. You could choose a nice stamp that has a blueprint look to it because you can kind of see the blueprints in there. It kind of adds a little bit of definition. Now, the other choice is too, is that you could take, see, And I think I would put some of the gold over top of that. But there we go. Now, the colors that I chose to work the background labels that worked the best, I felt, was peeled paint and frayed burlap. Both of those are excellent colors, creating this background here. Now, you could, you could add some blue in there, but that's why I did the tag with the embossing pigment powder in there. So, and then here's this one. So when it comes to this guy, I'm going to line this up. I'm going to punch a hole in here. I'm going to line it up, make sure. And like I said, I'm going to be using blue ribbons, green ribbons, and black thread. There we go. To do this. Now, the backing of this can always look a little interesting. But what I'm going to do here is I had put some foil on the back there because I had the foil from there. But I think I'm just going to put some foam dots behind there just to give it a little bit of a lift. Even, yeah, I'm going to do some black string through here as well. But a bunch of different colors and green. Now here on my next one, that's a darn, you know, when you have clear tags, they disappear on you. But you can see from here, I'm going to be painting my next clear tag to create an image and transfer it there. I think that is about it for how to do this. If I have any tips to pass along is don't be overly generous with the Versamark along the edge. And like I used a re-inker and cut it right down so I could squish it out on my workspace here. Oh, there's that one. So this one will have, I'm going to paint behind there. Anyways, just a little bit, not too much, okay? You're going to, and when you're heating, don't go directly over it. Work from above, because if you get too close, it's going to kind of wrinkle from the heat. But I found that with this Lawn Fawn heat resistant acetate, it worked fabulous. Like I had mentioned earlier, I did have something from another company. Just the difference was night and day. So in closing, some of the products. Okay, so we had the gold foil rub-ons. Okay, you'll find those over in the stamp area selection area. And again, there's one there that has Christmas words and what's on it, but you can custom or fussy cut those ones out and just put them on because, ta-da! Okay, heat resistant acetate. The one I used was from Lawn Fawn. The All in Create tag, which was number 30, the set. If you don't like a deckled edge, then a straightforward tag and a good size tag is this one here from Sizzix. It's 666065. Lindy's Magical Shimmer Shakers. Let me tell you, these guys really are magic. The one that I found worked best with the colors for this one here was the French Gardens, and the green I think is going to be fabulous to work with my next tag. And this one is called Olive Garden Emerald. The blue I used was the Hydrangea Haze. So a really nice set. And again, you're just using your clear embossing powder and mixing in the pigment from Lindy's there. And then what I did is I labeled my bottles so that I know exactly what's in here. And then when I have to refill it, I know exactly which shaker to use to refill this. The Collage Papers book Botanica Volume 1 from Marimie's Small Art, the Vintage Chronicles there. Excellent books. The other one that I have that I got to start playing with, and this one here is Flowers Volume 1. But again, pardon me, like I said, you can cut out some of these and put them on your tag, make it part of the collage. But look at some of these flowers. Oh my gosh. Like this one here, you could, you know, put little sequins around there to really bring this up, you know. The colors that they've used, the image themselves, they're just stunning. This one here would actually work really well with Tracy Evans from her latest stamp set. That's a good one there, the poppies. Poppy heads. Okay, let's see, the Stays On that I used for the background stamp here that I used, it's kind of like a crackle wall that I used there. And I actually did put in a little bit of musical notes. Every now and then you can catch some of the musical notes, like just right across there, just something a little bit different. Your clear embossing powder, your anti-static. Even though it's acetate, you still have to use the anti-static. And there's a couple of different ones, whichever one you want to use, okay? I use the distressed inks for the backgrounds for these ones here. But you may decide you want different colors, but I used peel paint and frayed burlap. You can use decoupage paste to adhere your image. And I'm going to be playing with the distress paints to come up with, you can see, I always try to do samples because then that way it kind of helps me visualize a little bit easier. You can see some of the colors that are under here that I've played with, and some of them I kind of went, no, not so much. You can see I put some black splatters in there. You can see that I even tried an India ink in there. And I think, yeah, the Amsterdam inks in there. It was a good color, you know, when you see it there, but I think I want to try the distress paints a little bit more and play with those. Now, also, if you don't want to go to the embossing route or the painting route, if you have alcohol inks with your clear one here, you could just drop some alcohol ink on there, let it run, smoosh around sort of thing, and create your own background that way to put your image on. So, I think I've had you for about 45 minutes now. I hope I haven't talked too fast, but I hope I've given you, how do you clean the acetate? I get fingerprints everywhere. Actually, I was just using a baby wipe, Diane, and that cleared up. And then, of course, this is why it's good to have your anti-static, so that you don't get too much of the embossing powder on the sides. You can notice I have all kinds of fingerprints on here, but where I found just my baby wipes and then my coffee filter, you know, that catches all the embossing powder. Yeah. So I will take, good question. We'll just take this. But you know, once you have it with a background, you're not going to notice it as much. But just get in there with your baby wipe, paper towel, or your coffee filter. And a lot of the fingerprints are going to be coming possibly from the Versamark being on. But there, you can see I've cleaned it up. And there's some more little bits over here from coming off my work mat. But there we go. But there's another use for your Lindy's pigments, creating a tag, or even let's just try something. Let's do this. All my stamps fell on the floor here. Let's just see. Let's try this guy. And there we go. So I'm going to take the Versamark. Let's try something a little bit different. Okay, Diane? Let's do this. Okay. Put this on my paper. Let's take our created oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. I love the color. Say you just wanted this as your background, because sometimes you want certain colors for the certain effect that you want. I'm just going to heat up my heating tool here. Okay, here we go. Because this is paper, we don't have to worry about it. But this is the pigment mixed in with the clear embossing powder. See it coming to life there? Oh my gosh, I love it. Look at that. So there we go. If you want to create a different background, tint your clear embossing powder with your Lindy's. And you've got your one-of-a-kind color created by you. Look at that. I might even just, I know what's on the back there, but I just might take some water and I'll just do it this way myself. We got just a couple more minutes. Okay, and this tears really easily. There. Now I can tint the edge. I would probably pick up Uncharted Mariner and just take it along the edge of the paper, and I can use that as part of a background. Look at that. So this will be on top, this will be underneath, like so. Oh my gosh, look at that. There we go. Okay, ladies, I've taken enough of your time for tonight. If you have any questions, fire them off to me. Thank you for joining me tonight. The next time that I'm going to be doing a live presentation will be Monday evening, and that will be Monday, May the 18th at 7 p.m. Have a couple other tricks up my sleeve. Anyways, thanks again for joining me. Greatly appreciate it. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Have fun in your gardens this weekend. Bye. You're most welcome, Diane.